All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about one of the most powerful tools we have for building a greener future, and that's education. But, we're not talking about old school textbooks. We're talking about classrooms that are turning into these incredible engines for real world change.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, it all kicks off with a simple question, but one that's got some real weight to it. What if the solution to these massive waste problems doesn't start with big companies or governments, but with a promise? A simple promise made right inside a classroom. Okay, let's really dig into this.
See, we're in the middle of this huge shift in how we approach environmental education. For so long, it was all about learning from a textbook, right? Just reading about problems. But now, the best stuff, the stuff that really works, is all about moving past the theory and getting your hands dirty, actually solving those problems.
And that really gets to the heart of it. Sustainability isn't just a concept anymore. It's something you experience. It becomes real when you can actually touch it and see it. I mean, by using what we normally call waste for creative hands-on projects, students aren't just learning about reducing waste, they're doing it. It's basically learning by living it.
Okay, so before we go any further, let's make sure we're all on the same page here. When we throw around terms like eco-education or sustainability, what are we really talking about? Let's break down the basics.
So at its core, environmental sustainability is all about balance. Think of it like it's standing on four main pillars. 1. Using our resources responsibly. 2. Cutting down on the waste we produce. 3. Actively protecting nature. And maybe the most important one, 4. Doing all of this to make sure we leave behind a healthy planet for everyone who comes after us.
And that's exactly what eco-education is trying to achieve. It's not just about memorizing facts. It's really a three-step journey. First, you have to develop a real, genuine awareness of our impact. Then, based on that, you start to foster responsible behaviors. And the final piece of the puzzle? Turning those behaviors into lifelong habits that just stick.
But, none of this just happens automatically. The real magic here, the true catalyst for all this change, well, it's the teacher. They're the ones who can spark that passion and really guide students through this whole journey.
And a teacher's role here is just so powerful. I mean, it goes way beyond just following a curriculum. Think about it. A one-off assembly or a documentary is one thing, but a teacher, they shape the culture of that classroom every single day. They lead by example, they weave sustainability into all their lessons, not just science class. They empower kids with real responsibility and literally transform their classroom into this little eco-friendly hub. It's that day in, day out consistency that makes all the difference.
Okay, now this is where things get really fun. Let's look at how all these ideas are actually being put into action. It's all about flipping the script on waste, turning it from a problem into a huge opportunity for creativity and learning.
So there's this brilliant project called the Zero Waste Classroom, and it usually kicks off with one simple question that gets students thinking like little environmental detectives. All they ask is, where does our classroom trash actually go? And that question alone is enough to start a whole investigation.
And that investigation follows three pretty clear steps. First, the students actually analyze their own classroom's trash. They dig in and figure out what's being thrown away. Then, they team up to brainstorm creative solutions, maybe new recycling bins, maybe posters to raise awareness. And finally, they launch their own action plan. They totally take ownership of making their classroom a greener space. It's problem solving in the real world.
Then there's another fantastic activity that completely reframes how we even think about waste. It's a sustainable art exhibition, and it's all built around that classic idea of turning trash into treasure.
And what's so powerful about this is that the impact doesn't just stop at the classroom door. By making art out of waste and putting on an exhibition for everyone to see, the project gets the whole community talking. Parents, other teachers, everyone. It's a perfect example of how one little school project can create this massive ripple effect.
All right, so all of this builds up to what might be the most powerful activity of them all. This is the one that really focuses on turning all these lessons into personal, lasting commitments.
The My Green Promise activity has one very clear goal. It's not about a one-time project. It's about inspiring a permanent change in how we act. The whole idea is that true, lasting change happens through these small, consistent, and super personal commitments.
And this is what those promises actually look like. It's super practical. Students pick an old habit, like just tossing paper away, and they replace it with a new green promise, like always using both sides of the sheet. Or instead of grabbing single-use plastic bottles, they commit to carrying a reusable one. It's all about making these small, conscious choices
every single day.
And here's the kicker. To make sure these promises actually stick, there's a really crucial follow-up. About a month later, the teacher checks in with every student to see how their promise is going. This little step reinforces the idea that, hey, this isn't just another homework assignment, it's an ongoing commitment to a new habit, a new way of thinking.
So the main thing to understand here is that none of these activities happen in isolation. They're all connected. From digging through the trash bin, to creating art, to making a personal promise, all these small actions build on each other. And together, they create this complete learning system, one that's genuinely preparing a generation to build a more sustainable future.
And that brings us right back to where we started. It all began with a question, so it seems fitting to end with one for you. After seeing how these students are turning small actions into really big changes, what's one green promise that you can make, starting today?